Everyone says the same thing about money. Just save 10% of your income. Pay yourself first. Do that long enough and you'll be fine. It sounds responsible. It sounds mature. It sounds like something rich people would say. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Saving 10% isn't making you wealthy. Here's why. The 10% rule became popular because it's simple. It doesn't scare people. It doesn't require math. And it feels achievable. If you make $60,000 a year, saving $6,000 feels like progress. You're doing better than most people. You're being disciplined. But simplicity is not the same thing as effectiveness. And in finance, rules that feel good often hide bad math. If you've ever thought, I have a good job, why do I still feel trapped? This is for you. I'm Wendy, and I spend a lot of time thinking about the psychology of money and why high earners feel financially fragile. This is where Sarah comes in. Sarah has a decent job. Nothing extreme, nothing embarrassing. Every month, 10% of her paycheck goes straight into savings. She never misses it. The rest covers rent, transportation, food, subscriptions, insurance, basically life. By the end of the month, there's not much left. But she tells herself that's okay because she's doing the right thing. Then one month, her car needs repairs. Not a disaster, just an inconvenience. She pulls from savings. And suddenly, 3 months of saving disappears in a weekend. That's when it hits her. She's not broke, but she's not safe either. Saving 10% didn't give her room. It gave her false confidence. Her entire life still depends on her next paycheck showing up on time. The problem isn't that 10% is too low morally. The problem is that 10% does not create margin. And without margin, you don't have freedom. You have fragility. Imagine a business that makes $100,000 a year in revenue. Sounds successful, until you realize expenses are $90,000, profit is $10,000, and one bad quarter puts them out of business. That business isn't thriving, it's surviving. But when it comes to our personal lives, we celebrate the same math. Saving 10% means your profit margin is razor thin. Here's the dangerous part. Saving 10% gives you a false sense of security. You think, I'm doing the right thing. I'm responsible. I don't need to change much. So you don't question why your expenses keep rising, why every raise disappears, or why you still feel anxious about money. The rule makes you feel safe enough to stop asking harder questions. The 10% rule assumes stable income, low volatility, no major shocks, and decades of uninterrupted time. That world doesn't exist anymore. In a high-cost, high-stress economy, slow savings without buffers is a liability. You're not building leverage, you're building patience. And patience doesn't pay rent. We've been taught to focus on how much we save, but wealthy people focus on something else: margin. Margin is the space between your income and your obligations. Margin is what lets you absorb shocks. Margin is what lets you make calm decisions. Money doesn't just buy things, it buys efficiency, it buys time. It buys options. And 10% rarely buys enough of any of those. Instead of asking, how do I save 10%? Ask, how do I increase my margin? That means building a real emergency buffer first, reducing fixed expenses aggressively, increasing savings temporarily above comfort, and designing your life to cost less to operate. The goal isn't to feel virtuous. The goal is to become resilient. Wealth isn't built by perfect habits. It's built by slack in the system. If every dollar already has a job, you don't own your time. Your expenses do. Saving 10% keeps you compliant. Margin makes you powerful. So if you've been saving 10% and still feel stressed, behind, or fragile, you're not bad with money. You're just following advice that stopped working. It's time to stop chasing good habits and start building room to breathe. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe so you don't miss more valuable videos designed to help you scale in your finances.